This man was touched by the huge support he received for his heartwarming gesture. The tiniest breeds among our best furry buddies have become a symbol of a lavish lifestyle and a trend to follow. People run to buy them without giving a second thought to all the responsibility, or should I say even more intense responsibility compared to the bigger dog breeds. This is the story which will restore your faith in humanity on the way, with an overwhelming video in the end. Very rarely do such events take place on the planet where being selfish is regarded as the best way to survive. And we're going to make sure that before you get to the end of the story, you want to think twice about your pet, or your neighbor's pet, or even about the strays around the area you live in. This story is about Ron and the amazing reward that he received for his amazing deeds. The best thing about this whole incredible incident is that it involves people who couldn't help but were willing so much to take an action that they did the best, which was in their hands, and these small efforts led to one of the admiring happy endings. In Salt Lake City, Utah, Ron Howell, a homeless man who used to live on the roadsides next to 700 East nearby the I-80 West off-ramp daily, wasn't aware that his life was about to change. He was always there in the hope of money or any job offer, holding a sign for the same. Usually he used to reply with "Thank you, God bless" to anyone's helping gesture towards him. Ron wanted to work, but he neither had a job nor any hopes of getting one soon. The condition was worse enough for him, which forced him to pick up trash, scrape up whatever he finds suitable, and sleep under the overpass. Ron was living an unfortunate life, but not for too long. Nobody lives on the streets by choice. It's their miserable situation that forces them to live a homeless life just like Ron Howell. Ron knew from the very beginning what it's like being homeless, and he would never want anyone to spend their lives like him. He said his forever phrase again, "Thank you, God bless," to a woman driver who gave him cash and said to use it for food. Ron was living his life on the roadside, and it's not an unusual thing to happen, as there are many people we find around the US jobless, homeless, and sleeping on the sides, saving themselves from extreme weather conditions. So Ron had rare chances to be offered a job when there's one like him on every corner. Yet a girl finds something about him strange, and was willing to walk up to him for a talk. It was the end of March and the girl's name was Angel James. She spotted something strange about this man and was willing to know the reason behind it, or was eager to know the story. Angel was about to play her part in a bigger picture that was right now in the making. On that chilled March morning, Ron stood there next to the freeway exit with his signboard. So what was it that grabbed Angel's attention when it seemed like a common scene to others who passed by Ron? Well, stopping by and having conversations with complete strangers was definitely not something Angel did on a daily basis. It was strange for herself as well, but for some reason she felt bad for the homeless man. Later she said that she just wanted to offer him a cigarette. However, over their small talk, something bad was to be revealed, which would make Angel feel an urge to hop in and help. The peculiar thing about Ron that Angel immediately figured out was his Chihuahua. He was holding the dog in his arms next to the board sign. Ron wrapped him in a blanket so that the poor little being doesn't catch a cold. Angel wanted to know the cute little being's story and what led him to the roadside with Ron, if he has known him from before or if he was a recent addition to his life. Angel had doubts that she wanted to clear with Ron, and they talked for quite a while, before Angel played with the dog and took his picture as a memoir and left. Well, when talking about a Chihuahua, it is the smallest dog breed recognized by the American Kennel Club. They got their name based on the Mexican state, Chihuahua. There are two types of Chihuahuas. One has short and smooth coats, while the other has a long and silky one. Not to be judged by their size, they are one of the most recommended watchdogs and love to be around their family. They're more than just a lapdog, and he tends to act like a terrier at times. Before we take you further with this exciting chain of incidents started with Ron, Angel, and the Chihuahua, you should be aware of the reason why this breed is especially known for their tiny size and big personality. Little Chihuahuas come with lots of happiness and is the most famous breed of a purse dog. Tinker Bell is the most famous Chihuahua who spends most of her time in Paris Hilton's handbag. The list is quite long when it comes to celebs and their pets. Nowadays, what's talked about most is the handbag pets. It literally means an animal can fit in a handbag. Seeing their favorite people and in the urge to look more like them, people tend to forget that you can't contain a living being in a tiny place and expect them to be happy about it. Hollywood loved them long before they came into fashion. The Hollywood was first introduced to the Chihuahua in the 1940s with Marilyn Monroe and her Choo Choo. They've got round eyes, pointed ears, and a tiny nose. They require very little grooming and outing. The graceful looks and big dog attitude make them an entertainer among all. The Chihuahua breed that was initially bred to be friends and a fighting dog is now suffering and is ending up on roads or shelter homes. Sometimes they even have infections due to their wet nappies, and most of the times the poor little beings are unable to walk properly as they've been kept in bags for too long. As per observations, experts say that there's a steady increase in the number of Chihuahuas ending up in shelters. Some of them are left as young as 20 weeks old, just because their owners are now bored of them. The Chihuahua Ron was holding in his hands was a victim of a similarly irresponsible owner. At the end of the day, Chihuahuas can be a huge responsibility with their lifespan as long as 20 years at times. While all they need is to be treated properly, owners face a hard time with teaching them and generally get irritated. However a bit stubborn, Chihuahuas learn quick and stay as a good pet for a lifetime. Ron recalled and shared his experience with Angel. It was just this little tiny Chihuahua puppy that was curled in his lap, and he explained how someone just dropped it off and just dropped it there and abandoned it, Angel recalled. Ron told her that last week a woman in a car stopped by. She didn't stop there to donate money to the homeless man, rather she was there to leave her own pet homeless. She told Ron, "Well, I'm desperate. I can't take care of it, I gotta get rid of it." The woman had enough to feed the dog and keep him happy, yet ready to give him up just because she bought him as a trendy object, not as a best friend that he could actually be. But Ron, on the other hand, a kind-hearted person, couldn't take it. Ron knew what it's like to be homeless, and he was sure the poor abandoned dog wouldn't be able to survive the cold weather on its own. He opened his arms for the dog and took him in his shelter when he himself didn't have anywhere to go. What a realization of others' pain, isn't it? And there he was, holding the Chihuahua wrapped in a blanket close to himself to keep him warm. He just became the guardian of it. Angel patiently listened to Ron's story and felt disheartened. She felt helpless. She wished she could adopt a poor little dog, but she couldn't. So they just went on talking, and the next graceful words of Ron Howell made Angel more willing to help the two in any way possible. Ron asked Angel if she could help in finding Chihuahua a good home, and there it was. The man who just sheltered a sweet little dog was willing to let him go just because he knew that he could never give him the home that the Chihuahua deserved. He was just trying to do the right thing so the dog wouldn't become as homeless as he, Angel said in a magazine interview. Angel knew the guy she just met was unfortunate enough to be homeless, hence he didn't want the other one to suffer the same. Just in the brief time we spoke, I was inspired by this heartfelt person. He was just trying to do right so this dog wasn't homeless like me, Angel remembers. The conversation Angel just had was highly motivated. Angel was determined to take action. Even if she wasn't able to adopt the Chihuahua herself, she could definitely spread the word, and that's how the idea came up. Even Ron seemed to be excited about their plan, and they were planning on how to execute things. This all was just to get the Chihuahua what he deserves. Angel quickly took a few pictures of the little guy and his new owner for a while, and promised Ron that she would do the best she could for the Chihuahua right away. And hence she posted the photos with the information about the Chihuahua on Facebook. The information spread among Angel's relatives and friends instantly, and there was a quick action taken, though there was still time for the Chihuahua to find a forever home. Angel James shared the word and did her part of the job as she was supposed to. She promised Ron that she would share this as a concern, which she did and kept her promise, while Ron, on the other hand, was hoping for the best for his newly made friend. The story went on and people were showing interest in it, but no one came up to take the responsibility of a poor animal, until one person read the status Angel posted. Kathleen Dahlman, another person who wasn't able to adopt Ron's buddy but felt his emotions, was determined to help them both. Kathleen, soon after she read the post and saw their images, reshared the post with a larger group of animal lovers on Facebook. She played her role well, and within no time, there was an immediate response to the reshared post. Kathleen later expressed in an interview, "A few minutes after I posted it, a lady was on her way to pick up the dog to foster him." Lisa Donaldson, a member of the SLC Vegan, the Facebook group where Kathleen shared Angel's post minutes ago, immediately was on her way to pick up the dog from there to give him a loving family. However, this wasn't all, and our loving Chihuahua hadn't yet found his forever loving owner. "A few minutes after I posted it, a lady was on her way to pick up the dog to foster him," she recalls in an interview. She offered Ron $50 as a show of her gratitude for keeping him safe. He said, "No, I just wanted to do the right thing," but she insisted he take it. That's how sweet a man can be. When homeless, he still doesn't want money as a favor because he took the little pup in as his responsibility. Lisa picked the Chihuahua from the roadside from Ron and assured him that she'll love to take care of him as long as they find the perfect home for him. This meant that Lisa wanted to get him a better place to spend the rest of his life, which didn't feel too difficult to happen after looking at his popularity and a lot of people being concerned about the Chihuahua. Yet there was the usual procedure Lisa had to follow. Though Angel mentioned about the Chihuahua being dropped off by his owner, Lisa had yet to make sure that he wasn't being searched for anywhere before they gave him a right home. So they looked at all the dog search websites as well as local places. Sadly, he wasn't being looked for by anyone anywhere. But this could possibly be the best thing too. Instead of having a cruel owner who barely loved him, it was far better for him to stay with Lisa as she loved him wholeheartedly. And there was a family who got to know about the situation and was instantly ready to adopt him. Chastity Geyer along with her daughter came to pick the pup to her new home as well as his forever home. And guess what? He now has a name, Lucky Louie. That's a smart move, we should say, as the tiny pup's name suggests that how lucky he was to get all that love and attention when he was left on the roadside helpless. He was in tears because he would help the dog find a home. He said he knew what it was like to be homeless and he didn't want the dog to be homeless, said Kathleen, who later on met Ron and informed him about Lucky Louie. His attitude was pleasant to everyone. He was concerned about his little friend and was proud that he was able to help him get a better life. While everything seemed to be fine, Kathleen was up to something which was a surprise for everyone. Kathleen, an animal rights activist who initially reshared the post and met Ron once, wasn't able to forget his kindness and the fact that a good person like him, who is willing to work, is still on the roadside spending his days homeless. She knew he didn't deserve that and she wanted to do something for him. So she opened a GoFundMe page for Ron in order to get help for the homeless man and get him a chance to a better life that he deserved. So what happened next was again an overwhelming act. I was so happy that things had worked out for the dog, but I couldn't stop thinking about Ron, says Kathleen. He didn't even have a place for himself, so I set up a GoFundMe page. I didn't know if anyone would donate anything, but now it's almost at $500. Kathleen found Ron and gave him the $500 which he asked to put for the dog's welfare. Yet Kathleen insisted and now recalls he had tears in his eyes. He couldn't believe that people would do such a great thing for him. When I gave him the money, he wanted some of it used to care for the dog, but I told him it was just for him. The most amazing thing is yet to happen when the donations surprisingly increased later on. So what made people donate to Ron? He's doing really good. He's not going anywhere, said the Gayers, who recently welcomed Lucky Louie as a new family member. They immediately caught up together and Ron was more than happy. Kathleen said, "Now that he has a phone, we can get in touch. He really wants to find a job." Like the dog, everyone deserves a second chance in life. A happy ending, right? But it gets better. Watch this video and you'll know the reason why people believed more in Ron and have so far donated over $6,500. Ron's video of talking with Kathleen was so overwhelming for everyone, and when the homeless guy asked to use that money for the pup, he made many hearts melt. And the results can be seen by the response to the donation that suddenly got a rise. And here we have a few more great people who will think of their best friends before themselves, who will surely make you wonder how nice this planet could be if everybody acted as responsible. This story is definitely a unique one as it has a happy ending, but most abandoned pets end up in shelters and never find a forever home. So what was so extraordinary about this story? Most of the cases of saving abandoned pets we see nowadays of different organizations rescuing animals is surely a kind gesture, but what makes Ron different is he himself had no place to go, and yet he made an effort for the tiny pup, which won people's trust. Moreover, we've got few more people and images you should surely check out, as they themselves had nothing, just a dear friend, and that was enough for them to pass through hard times. Guido Lyle with his dog, which gives him a reason to get up each day. It was a struggle, very hard. I stole, broke the law, it was the only way. Guido Lyle, a 44-year-old man who has been homeless for more than 37 years. The reason for his unfortunate life was that he stole many cars when he was a kid. Later, he lived among drug addicts on the roadside and claims, "I've had him for 4 years now. He's been the reason I get up every day." The man in the cap hugging his dog and keeping his head down is here. This picture shows the incredible bond between the two and how the fact that only rich people can own a pet is proved wrong, as all our furry friends need from us is love and affection, and the rest they can manage with you as long as you don't give up on them. Another amazing shot that still speaks the same truth. On a so far cloudy day, the homeless owner tries to keep his pet cozy, when both sit on the roadside with low motivation and maybe are a bit disheartened, but at least they both have each other for themselves to get through the rough days of their lives. Beating all the odds and what people like to criticize about not owning a dog when one is poor. They forget that we don't own them, they just love to be with us. Just like this German Shepherd who loved the company of his friend. It seems all he needs is less of an owner and more of a buddy to be happy. The pets you own might be just a part of your life, but for them, you mean everything. Time has a constant unpredictability with it. Many people become homeless every year and leave their pets in a shelter home for better lives. However, some are unable to leave them behind as they've their own promises they aren't willing to let go. This is one such person for sure. We just can't give up on them as we know that they would never do that to us either. The best part is, with money or without money, in a home or homeless, if you have your furry friend by your side, things are gonna be a bit simpler and time will pass with less agony. We're sure you'll give it a second thought before giving up on them.